Welcome back to Scenic Route 14, everyone. Routes 15, 14 and 13 make their way along to Lavender Town from Fuchsia City. We have, I think, a poker fan to battle. The lady up there is someone with whom you can trade. You will need to catch a Chansey, which is very difficult to do, and she will give you Aerodactyl in return. I don't really have the patience to go and catch Chansey. I believe it has a 1% chance of appearing. So we will be leaving that lady alone. Somebody else with better luck than I can find a Chansey for her. Meanwhile, we have dispatched that particular poker fan, and we can move on to battle a few more. Normally, around this area there were lots of bikers. But things have changed, it's a bit more relaxed. Certainly a very peaceful location, and it of course will look better in the remakes, but it doesn't look too bad now. You could be looking out over the south of Kanto and the ocean far beyond. What sort of Pokemon would be out there, we wonder? We will actually get to that, and to be honest, the answer is pretty much an abundance of Tentacool and Tentacruel. You will find that out when we make it back to Fuchsia City after completing the long way round. And here we see that he has the Kanto starters. Not much challenge, we can basically brush them aside with Body Slam. It's a good achievement having all of them, unless you're playing yellow version where it was fairly easy. And let's move on towards the maze in Route 13. I think we can find a few items along the way too, not this side, but just over there, I think. And our next opponent. I think he's a hiker. Yep, just gotta pay attention to the dialogue. Sandslash. As you can tell, I think it's a great Pokemon. But sadly, down it goes. And Mersey levels up. Probably a good opportunity for Sunny to step in on the rotation. Now there is one opponent who's going to be very annoying to deal with. You will find out shortly. Oh, Maximum Magnitude. The animation is kind of terrible. But of course not doing very much damage. We will have a lot of fishermen to deal with once we get past this little area. We also have to battle the trainers to the east of Vermillion City. Once we head back to that little loop and we battle the people in between the Vermillion turnoff and Lavender Town, we will be all done. It's mostly just sort of chugging away, battling trainers really. And our last opponent, Graveler. To be honest, a bit more variety in his team wouldn't hurt, but he probably should make Onix into a Steelix. On its own, Onix is kind of terrible. And there we go. So I will at least give the amulet coin to Sunny and switch her to the lead. Bit annoying just having to transfer everything around, but that's the way it goes. And we've been interrupted by Hiker Parry. Nuisance call, unfortunately. He's not ringing up about Marill. So where do we go from here? Hikers and poker fans, I'd say. Let's see, is it this guy? Nope, this is a different poker fan. I think it was the one on the right of screen. But he does indeed have some regal Pokemon. Nidoking, not a bad choice. But unfortunately, Sunny will tear it to pieces with Psychic. Metaphorically. I'll keep Sunny out for the rest of this. And Slowking. We've already had the spotlight on Slowpoke, so I'm not going to do that much on it, but Slowking does vary a little bit from it. You will have seen it in the spotlight. It's slightly different from Slowbro, but it's not a bad Pokemon overall. Admittedly, the Slowking in the English dub of the Lugia movie is particularly amusing. And the next Pokemon is Seaking. I think in one occasion there is an opponent who uses a Magikarp as a regal Pokemon. That's because its Japanese name is Koi King. I think he actually has it in the remakes. He being this particular trainer we've just beaten. And there we are with that little moment of treason underway. We can cut the bush to get that item, but we will have to come back because I don't have a Pokemon with cut. And I think it's this guy, so I'm going to switch to Dash. Yep, it's this guy. You know how in every game there is one trainer with 6 Magikarp? This guy has 6 Pikachu, which is an improvement, but it's still annoying. So away we go. Prepare for an extremely repetitive battle. And that finally puts an end to an extremely boring battle. So, unfortunately, Dash got paralyzed, but he didn't take very much damage anyway. So, can we access that? No, there's not a hidden item there. Oh, that's right, it's over there. That's it. That's the spot. So, we will put... Well, it's Polari's turn. He's going back in the lead. And he's getting the amulet coin as well. As for the calcium, I think I'll give that to Torture. Didn't want to accidentally give it to Dash. He has no point using special attacks. So, 2 more opponents and we're out of the little maze, ready to battle a few fishermen and I think a random guitarist. Farfetch'd. Might have an evolution, but it's still fairly crummy. It will be interesting to see what the attack stat of Sirfetch'd is, because Farfetch'd's actually got bumped up to base 90 in Generation 6. It was a formidable early game Pokemon, but it didn't change the fact that it would be pretty crap for the rest of it. To be fair, it would probably be very difficult to beat a Lightning Bolt, because that effectively is the speed of light. I'd guess anyway, I'm assuming it is, but I have a really bad habit of second guessing myself, as you can tell. I really don't want to wind up seeming like an idiot, even though I do some pretty stupid things on these already. But yeah, since it is effectively light, you pretty much wouldn't be able to beat it. Anyway, my pointless scientific ramblings aside, which are probably heavily inaccurate, we can move on, have a little bit of breathing space as we navigate along Route 13. There will be items to get if you have Cut and a fisherman to beat. It's a bit quieter than I was expecting it to be. Decent opponent, decent experience, not gonna last long against a Thundershock. I think the reason Gyarados has stayed as a water flying type is so it actually has a decent counter. A fast enough electric type can shut it down before it gets going. And it really does need that, because if this thing was Water Dragon, it would be just about unstoppable. It would have more than enough tools to handle fairy types, I'd say. It's probably the reason why Charizard wasn't a dragon type originally as well, because Fire Dragon would be particularly tough to handle. It can even circumvent fairy types pretty well. But of course it finally got to be Fire Dragon with Mega Charizard X, and that thing was ridiculously overpowered, so kind of proved the point. Then again, Turtonator probably isn't that broken and it's Fire Dragon, so I suppose it all depends on stats and things like that. Well, I think he's got a point. People do tend to fuss over electronic devices a lot. Now, the guitarist's only here in Generation 1, I believe. Huh. This is quieter than I thought. But this is where we get the Super Rod. We can now catch Pokemon of level 40 and much rarer Pokemon too. Not too bad. Another fisherman. Wait, how many Pokemon does he have? I didn't see. Yeah, Magikarp is pretty much worthless, but thankfully it's not the guy with 6. I think in Red and Blue, the guy with 6 Magikarp appeared on the route south of Pallet Town when you surfed down to Cinnabar Island. And there goes Quillfish, a recently acquired catch for us. Tentacruel, solid Pokemon. Actually worth trying out sometime, it has pretty good special defense. Special attack is okay, but it's fairly fast as well. Not for nothing that people call Tentacruel the Zubat of the sea. Might as well wrap this one up, Polari. Because it's another Magikarp. At least Magikarp has potential, unlike some other Pokemon which have just stayed rubbish. And there we go. So we've made it onto Route 12. And if we go over this way, this is the route that connects us to Vermillion City. So I will switch... I'll probably use this as a catch-up opportunity for Sunny. And then we can wrap things up once we get to Vermillion. Actually, I might as well keep going for this particular episode because we're not actually too far off completing our objective. So we have a Psychic here, and there's an item in that bush just to the northeast of him. Oh, great. Oh, no, wait, Polari... Righto. I thought I'd switched Sunny to the 4. Did something not work? Oh, well. There's that one sorted. Another Execute, you know what? I think we're going to get cooking with Torture. And there we go again, probably another really repetitive battle. So what's going to be next, Exeggutor? Fair enough. And there we go. Well, he doesn't want to say much. We won't bother him. No, I obviously didn't switch Sunny to the 4. Either that or I accidentally hit the B button. Ah, well, if that's the worst thing that happens to me today, I'm doing alright. And speaking of things like that, I sincerely hope all of you are having a great day. Actually, there is cheating in Pokemon, kid. Now, he's got Spirit. There is absolutely no denying he has Spirit. But he unfortunately does not have what it takes to deal with Sunny. Well, nice try, kid. You just happened to face off against a stronger Pokemon. at least he's a good sport. He has some pretty good principles that will take him a long way in life. And of course there is a youngster who has to reference shorts. Not as good as the famous line from Red and Blue, but still. Alrighty, might as well just go with Giga Drain. Since otherwise I'd be dragging things out a little bit, and this has probably already gone on fairly long. And Crobat, which we can take care of with Psychic. Obviously, this kid takes good care of his Pokemon. Probably no surprise that Crobat is still faster. But of course not strong enough to resist our attacks. Well, it was a valiant try. So there's no one up this way to battle, there's just that item to grab. Which I probably should do, and what have we run into? Drowsy, nothing special. Same level as we can encounter them by Goldenrod City. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Anyway, over here and we get a Revive. That's a good item to have. What is it this time? Mostly I'm letting Drowsy show up because I can't really be bothered just cutting a little bit out. Anyway, I think there's one more opponent to do and we'll wrap it up for this particular episode. That came out wrong. One more opponent to defeat and then we'll heal at Vermillion, wrapping it up for this episode. That's not very nice. Don't look at things you're not supposed to. It'll horrify you. And this is not quite the opponent Sunny wants to be facing. Oh well. Well, I'll persevere. We'll just brute force it because we're so close to the end of the episode. I have better special attack than Xatu has special defense and higher level. So there we go, we've wrapped things up pretty nicely and we're back at Vermillion City. There's Diglett's Cave, here's where Snorlax was hanging around. And we have almost completed our little circuit. I will wrap that up and then I think we're actually going to head into the Saffron City gym. I think Sabrina's team is a slightly higher level. And I don't think I've actually picked out a Pokemon for a spotlight because we haven't wound up encountering that much that's new, if I'm going to be honest. I've done plenty of water-type Pokemon. So I think I'm going to end the episode with a spotlight on the series mascot. Or actually, I might make it on Raichu because Raichu always gets overlooked and we are in Vermillion City. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next installment of our scenic tour through the Kanto region. Raichu has often been left in the dark compared to its pre-evolved forms. Pichu's cuteness was traded on a lot, and it was used as a promotion not only for Generation 2, but also for certain events in Generation 4, such as the admittedly useless spiky-eared Pichu. As for Pikachu, well, it's the series mascot and has always been in the limelight. Raichu has been a rival of sorts to it, especially in the early anime and the battle with Lieutenant Surge, but over time Raichu has tended to fade from consciousness. It only really came back into the spotlight when Alolan Raichu was revealed, and even then Pikachu has probably managed to steal the spotlight again. Raichu is a fairly dependable Pokemon though, with some pretty good moves at its disposal. Its stats are pretty decent and it can hit fairly well on either side, but it's not quite as fast as you'd think, only 10 base points higher than Pikachu's speed, which can be a bit of a disadvantage. Nonetheless, Raichu is fairly dependable with a degree of versatility. If you do put in the time to train Raichu, it will actually fare particularly well. Its Alolan form does have its advantages, being Electric Psychic and packing a unique Z move, so it can be worth giving Raichu a try no matter which form it takes on. Honestly, it really is worth it and I'm pretty sure Raichu would appreciate it too.